Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rusty 78609 in Central Texas, USA, and it's about, it's 11 o'clock, and I'm trying to get out of this parking lot at this key shop, and then we're going to talk about RVing, and it's just going to be a little potpourri. I'm going to talk about things I've learned and tips and stuff that may benefit you in your travels or as you acquire and begin to live in an RV. And here we go. The first thing I'll tell you, since I was just at the key shop, is I have a spare key for everything. I have a spare key, two spare keys for my truck, two spare keys for my RV. I have given a key to my son and for the RV, and I also have a spare key, two spare keys for the hitch lock on the RV. Why? Because if I come reach in my pocket somewhere when I'm out boondocking and realize that I have misplaced my keys because I'm 73 years old, and that can be easily done, I want a spare key to everything. Okay, I want to be able to get my way out of there, get out. Okay, so that's one little tip right there. Have a spare key to everything. What else? I had a question this morning on a commenter asked about, what is a good quality RV. He mentioned Airstream and some others. Well, I'll talk about that. Basically RVs are what they are. Is there really a really super quality? Yeah, I guess, I've never owned an Airstream. I've heard a lot about them. Winnebago, Coachman, R-Pods, there's 100 different brands out there, and they are what they are. But now let me back up one step and ask you this: put yourself in the position of the manufacturer, the person that's building these RVs. What do you want to accomplish as a manufacturer of RVs? Make money as much as you can. How do you make money? Well, you reduce the cost of your product as much as you can to maximize your return on your investment, and to you or to your shareholders, whether it's a family-owned business or not, makes some difference. A stock-owned corporation, one that's publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange or one of the exchanges, they have to answer to the shareholders. Also, they've got a board of directors, and so it's pretty serious. Let's maximize profits. So if that RV that you're buying is manufactured by a company that's only that's publicly traded, then you can just bet that it's about as low a quality as you can get, because they're maximizing their return and they'll do it any way they can do it. Now, as far as family-owned manufacturing places, they do it too, but I don't think they do it as bad because they're not under as much pressure. They don't have to worry about quarterly earnings reports and all the different things to satisfy the shareholders and keep their stock price high. They don't have to do that because their stock is not traded publicly. Casita is family-owned. I happen to own one. It's pretty well made. I'm pleased with it. The cabinets on the inside are okay. Of course, it's fiberglass. But again, the tip here is if you're really trying to find quality, it'll be hard to do. First of all, even family-owned businesses make mistakes and put out products that may or may not be, up to quote standard. So just be aware of that as you're out there RV shopping. What's another tip? Another tip is, and I just thought of this the other day, on my Casita and most of the last 2 or 3 RVs I've had, they have the little screw-down jacks, which you can take a little 12-volt drill and zip, so to speak. One of my commenters said this morning, and the jacks are down, and they are. But I removed the stabilizer jacks on my Casita. Why? Because they were too low to the ground, and I didn't want to. I have not drug one off, but I have bent one on another RV, and so I thought, hell, I don't need those. I went back to those old aluminum that have the screw up things, the old jacks. They're just stands, actually. You can get 2 of them for $14.99, and they do just as good a job. But remember this, guys, the stabilizer jacks are just that. They're not leveling jacks. A lot of people think they're leveling jacks. They'll do a little bit, but they won't do a lot. You got to get the RV reasonably level, and then put down your stabilizer jacks to, quote, stabilize the RV so that when you're walking around the inside, the RV is not moving back and forth and you're shaking the whole house, so to speak. But yeah, that's one. And then what else? Let me think. As far as towing capacity, let's be sure there that the towing capacity of your vehicle. Now remember, there's two different things. There's the hauling capacity of your vehicle and there's the towing capacity. Hauling capacity means how much stuff you can put inside the vehicle and drive off safely. Towing capacity means how much can you hook up to the to the vehicle using a hitch and tow it safely. And for me, my recommendation here, and it'll probably be a lot of you will discount this, but that's your choice. My philosophy has always been to take the towing capacity of the vehicle, divide it by 2, and use that as the guide for how much weight you want for a trailer. All right. In other words, like my vehicle towing weight is 4,900 pounds. So I divide that by 2, that gives me 2,500 pounds. Just so happens that my Casita 17-foot RV weighs 2,450 pounds. Does it tow pretty easily? Yeah, I get 17 miles a gallon, or did on my last trip, which is great. That also has a little to do with the aerodynamics of the travel trailer. But anyway, this is just a potpourri. I'm just going to let my mind run free about RVing, and whatever pops out does. What else on the exterior? Let me think. As far as like having a solar hookup or not, I think it's nice to have the RV solar hookup, solar ready, so to speak. And my Casita is solar ready for ZAMP, but they also make an adapter for the other type of connector that's Furrion, I think is the name of it. But when you get to solar, there's a question there too about do you want to put the solar on the roof of the RV, whether it's a motorhome or a travel trailer, or do you want to use solar panels? Me, I prefer using the suitcase portable panels for a few reasons. One is I don't consume a lot of power. I don't care about running a microwave oven or any other thing, or even an air conditioner, because I try to go to those places where it's cool enough all the time that I can just run a fan and be quite comfortable. That's when I'm boondocking, and I do that about a third of the time. For those of you that want to put your solar on the rooftop, that's your choice, and it's a good choice, because when you're driving down the highway, you're charging your battery. When I'm driving down the highway, I'm not. Is that bad? No, it's all works. Whatever works for you is fine. Then the next step on powering the RV is something like, do I want to use a generator instead of the solar? Well, it's up to you. It's your choice. Generators aren't that popular out boondocking in a lot of places because they make noise. The quietest ones are, I think, the Honda 2000i is a quiet one. It'll run pretty much anything. They make another one, I can't remember the name of it right now, but they are some of the quality generators that are fairly quiet, and people may not even notice they're running. However, the downside of having a generator, I've had a generator before, is you have to carry gasoline. Okay? I mean, you do, and gasoline is dangerous, as you know. It has an odor. I mean, you can put the gas can in the back of your truck, that's fine. You can put it anywhere, but you're still going to smell gasoline fumes because that's just the way gasoline is. Also, if you have a piece of equipment like a generator, you got to maintain it. Now, I realize it's minimum maintenance, not too bad, and so it's pretty easy to do. Change the oil, spark plug, stuff like that, not bad. But for me, solar is fine. It's definitely quiet for sure, and it's easy. I mean, you don't have to maintain anything. You put your panels in the back of the truck, you're good to go. And on my Casita, now that I have the solar plug, I just plug my solar panels in there, good to go for charging the battery. And that's enough said about that. Then the next thing is do you want a lead acid battery that comes with most of the RVs, or do you want an AGM maintenance-free battery? My recommendation there is, if you have a choice, is to get the AGM maintenance-free battery. Why? Because you don't have to fool with it. You don't have to worry about putting water in it every now and then, or overfilling it, and all this other stuff. And they also, one thing about an AGM, you can draw it down below 50% a little bit. And you shouldn't do that with the lead acid batteries at all, because they're not designed for that. At least that's what I'm told. Am I correct? No, you can check me out. I don't know if I am. That's based on what I've read and heard. I rarely draw my battery. I only have one 120 amp hour AGM battery, and rarely do I get it below 70%. I don't think I ever have gotten it below 70%. Having said that, what else? Let me think. As far as tires, you ought to rotate or change your tires out at least every 5 years. They're not going to. You're not going to wear them out. Your chances of wearing out a set of RV tires are pretty slim, because all they are doing is carrying weight. They're not. They're not used for. They're not carrying themselves. They're not like a car tire. So every 5 years, rotate or change them out, and get whatever tires you want. My recommendation is to get a good tire, either 8-ply or 10-ply, probably is good. What else on the tires? You can get whatever kind of tire you want, but try to get good ones, because having a flat on a travel trailer, whether it's single axle or double axle, is not any fun. It's easier on a double axle, because you'll still have 3 tires carrying the load. With the single axle, like I have on the Casita, you have a blowout. You got 1 tire left carrying the entire load, and if you're driving 75 miles an hour and have a blowout on a single axle, you may have a problem. But me, I never drive over 55 when I'm towing or around that, so I'm okay. Have I ever had a blowout on a single axle RV? No. Have I ever had a blowout on a double axle? Yes, a couple of times. In fact, one time I had a blowout on it, and the only way I noticed it was I felt a little vibration in the steering wheel. And anyway, the tire was, of course, already ruined. But most of the times when you have a blowout on a travel trailer or a big motorhome, by the time you stop and get pulled over, that tire's ruined anyway. So what else can I think about? As far as you guys out there that I like to have internet access and telephone access wherever I am. I do not use any kind of signal increase thing, whatever you call it, signal amplifier. I don't use any of that. The reason they do work, I'm told they work, and if you know what you're doing. I don't fool with that. Why? Because that's just something else. That's just more stuff for me to carry and more stuff to frustrate me. I want to keep it down to the minimum, so that when I park, I'm done. Of course, I stabilize and do all that stuff, but I don't have to put up a lot of outside stuff. I don't have an awning. That's another thing. Do you need or want an awning? Most people do. I don't. I rarely, if ever, in the beginning, I did use the awning because I thought you were supposed to. I'd put it out, and the wind would blow it up on the roof. I always thought that was cute. Or it would blow it at an angle, and it was not fun with the awning, so I just gave up on that. And our current RV does not have an awning. And I don't put out Christmas lights, and I don't put out a big carpet, and I don't put out chairs and all of that stuff like I did in the beginning, because it was monkeys see, monkeys do in the beginning, and I saw people in RV parks and state parks, and I would drive in, and maybe it was in the evening or whatever, and they'd have their little Christmas lights out, and, all the stuff. And I thought, well, I got to get some of that. I never did get the Christmas lights, I'll be quite honest with you, but I did put the awning out, and I did have a rug, 8x10, and it was a pain in the butt because it weighed a ton. It was indoor-outdoor carpet. All it did was get muddy and dirty, and all I needed was a little doormat, and I'd have been good. Speaking of mats, okay, for the inside of the RV, what I've used for the past couple of years, for mats inside the RV, because I don't have carpet or haven't had carpet in an RV in a long time, and I use I get memory foam bath mats at Walmart now. You couldn't get them years ago, but you can get them now. But I use memory foam bath mats. I've got 4 of them in my casita, so that the whole floor, or the available walking area, is covered by memory foam bath mats. And underneath the bath mats, I have the non-slip shelf liner that you can buy. And a lot of people have them in RVs and the shelves and cabinets to keep their dishes from moving around when they're towing. But they're non-slip, and what you can do is cut a section of that off about 6 inches by 6 inches and put it under each of your mats, in my case, bath mats, and they don't slip around. They'll stay in place. When you're walking on them, they don't move around. And also the good thing about that in the casita, since I have what's called a wet bath, a small bath, whenever I don't want to dry off in the shower because I can't stand up straight. I've got about 2 inches short in there, and that's I knew that going in. It's not a surprise. So what I do when I get through taking my showers, I just step out on the first bath mat, go to the second bath mat, third bath mat, so I don't get them too wet, and of course I kind of semi-dry off before I get out of the shower. But again, that's just a little tip there for the mats on the interior. Also, the good thing about the memory foam is they're about a ½ inch thick, or maybe, I don't know, whatever they are, and you can they're warmer than regular floor mats for walking on in the winter, which is a good deal. And what else can I tell you? Let me think. Now, as far as a bed, that's your choice. Again, and naturally it would be, because you're spending your money. For me, I like to keep the beds simple. Usually the beds that come with the RVs aren't all that great, and it's just a matter of time until you replace your bed. And I got, of course, in the casita, the 17-footer, the dining table folds down. It's got 2 little dining tables. One area in the rear makes into it's a full-size bed, and I've got a pad on it that's 1.5. You put that, of course, you use the dining table pads. You could just use that for a bed if you wanted to, okay? But I don't find those very comfortable because they got those seams all over, and you feel them at night. So what I did was I covered them with a 1.5 inch or 2 inch. It's like a pad, a small futon. It's memory foam inside, but it's got a liner on the outside, and it's 39 inches by 75 inches, and it works okay. But I'm in the process right now of adding to that a 6-inch memory foam cover, or to put on that, because what's happening is, as I've slept on the bed for 2 months, I've had my new RV for 2 months, I've made an indentation where my butt is, and I feel it. Because the cushions in the casita, you sit in one spot or lay in one spot for a period of time, and they'll actually make a little indentation, and there's no way to really flip them over and stuff. So I'm going to add a 6-inch memory foam pad for that. So what else can I do? That's the bed. Now, as far as fitted sheets and stuff, I don't use those because they're too much trouble. I just get a queen size sheet that's super big and stuff it around the edges, and if it pulls out, I just restuff it, and that's the end of that mess. And as far as pillows, I've got some what they're called, they're memory foam pillows. There's 2 of them. They're called Comfort and Relax, and they're extremely comfortable. So my bedding, that's it right there. Of course, now for cover, I've got a 100% polyester. Well, of course, I got a sheet, and then a 100% polyester blanket for the second level, and then the third level is a comforter, downfield comforter. And rarely do I have to go to the third level in Texas, but occasionally, if it gets below 30 and hangs there for a while, I do. Now, as far as heating in my RV does not have a furnace. It came with a air conditioner that has a heat strip. The heat strip draws 1,500 watts, which means you can't run it with anything but 110. You have to have shore power or be hooked up to run that heat strip. And I've also got a little electric heater, and so you got to be hooked up to electric for that. If I was in a boondocking area and for some reason the temperature dropped around 40 or so, then what I would do, I have a 12-volt battery operated fan, a U2 Cool, I think, or O2 Cool or something like that fan. It'll operate on 12-volt R battery, R110, and I would turn that fan on low and turn one burner on low, and that will heat the RV, and at the same time I would open the windows, a couple of windows about a ½ an inch, and that would give you enough ventilation. But I wouldn't want to run the propane long because not only asphyxiation could be a problem, but the moisture, propane causes condensation on the interior windows of RVs. It just does. And what else? This thing's kind of going on here, ain't it? But anyway, those are just some tips that I've thought of, and a lot of things that may help you. And as far as where to go and all that, that's up to you. The whole west is beautiful to me. The north, northwest, west. The east is a little congested for me. I don't go there. But anyway, I hope some of these tips help and thoughts. But it's kind of been a rambling potpourri video. But 25 years, man's got to learn something, right? I wish I could. I think I may not have ever done a video talking about my beginning of RVing experience. It was not fun. Okay, the first year or two of my RVing was not all that exciting. It was because I started out with an old junk RV that just gradually completely fell apart. But having said that, guys, enjoy your life in RVing. Thumbs up, carpe diem, adios, bye-bye. Buy anything you want, anytime. But if you think about it, use the link to Amazon products in the description of all my videos. Why? Because I get a small commission and it doesn't cost you a penny. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to fool with it, don't. No problem. And what else? Drink plenty of water, stretch, walk, keep your health, take deep breaths, stand guard at the door of your mind. Do those things that keep you healthy, because the better you feel, the more you're going to feel like doing stuff, and that's good, because when you feel good, everybody feels good. Anyway, guys, adios from Central Texas.